All right, let's go. This is part 4 of our Voice, Our Vote series for Sanctuary of Hope. I am going to get our special guests online. I hope you're having a beautiful Monday. Today has been an extremely long Monday for me, so please forgive me in my delay. I am going to add a couple more folks to our live. Again, welcome. Appreciate it. I hope you all are having a beautiful Monday. 1 second. Boom. There we go. Let's see. Add a couple more folks to it. And we are doing this live. Y'all know I haven't gotten used to doing live yet. Here we go. 1 second. There we go. All right. What's up, Kirk?
What's up, brother Christian? How we doing, family?
Doing really good.
Right on, man. Right on.
Yes, sir. It's been a long day. I'm waiting for two more people to join us. How's your day going so far?
Man, it's been busy. You know, there's a lot moving. It's election season, so
Yes, sir.
you know, we up from sun up to sundown.
Yes, sir. You know, you're doing some big things, and we're going to tap into that very shortly about the work that you're doing. You've always been a great person doing great things in LA County, LA community, as well as statewide. So let's roll with it, you know?
That part.
Yes, sir. I'm just waiting on Sharik. I think we're waiting on Dre. There we go. We got Corey. Got one of our student trustee boards out here at ABC that's joining us.
Okay.
There we go. And let me see where Sharik at. And we're going to add Dre. 1 second. There we go. And Sharik. There we go. You know, I'm still getting used to this live stuff. There we go.
It's all good.
Hey.
We back again.
How's everyone?
Really good.
Yeah.
I love the shirt. There we go.
Who, me?
Yeah, I love your shirt. Yeah,
oh, you know, repping for my company today, you know, in my childhood at the same time. Shout out to Paramount.
There we go.
I love yours. I need one of those hoodies, sir.
You know, I got a couple of them. Kirk got a couple too, and a few other folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one of those.
Absolutely. I sent over to Compton City Council member, so we just waiting on him. But we can also start at about 6:30. For those that are joining us, you know, share it, let folks know. We are super grateful for everyone joining us. We are going to go live with other folks shortly. Instagram's confused me. I'm used to Facebook, so y'all gotta forgive me.
It's all good.
Yes, sir. Cool. So I'll start off. It's 6:29. For those that are joining us, again, share everything. We're just gonna do some small introductions. Sharik, of course, you got the stuff on the stuff.
The stuff on the stuff. That's right. I know. Right.
And so we are going to do introductions. And in your introduction, please talk about what is civic engagement and why is it important for millennials and Gen Z folks to join. What's up, LaQuisha? My name is Christian Green. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Director for Sanctuary of Hope. Today is part 4 of our series. This has been a beautiful month. I could have not done this without Sharik. Woo. Huge shot. I know. There we go.
Like little me.
Yeah, you. And so I cannot say thank you enough for everyone that has joined, followed, shared, whatever you did to make sure that we have made this into a flourishing event. This is all about civic engagement and educating our community. And so for me, it's always about like trying to figure out how do we get Gen Zers, millennials to really, get involved. And this is the whole purpose with us doing this. And so I am so grateful for our hosts, our co-hosts, Kirk Samuels joining us, Corey Barnes joining us, Sharik joining us as well. But civic engagement is all about education. It's about getting folks involved that normally would not be involved. And so millennials, Gen Zers, those that watch this, please just understand that your vote really matters. And it's really up to us as youth and young adults to really make new stuff happen, make new policies happen, make new incentives happen, and challenge and hold our elected officials accountable. But that's all that I will say for right now. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Sharik. By all means, go for it as I do some other stuff too.
Okay. I was going to say, you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do.
I'm a professor. I'm a part of Sanctuary of Hope. Shout out to our executive director, Janet Kelly, and to all the Sanctuary of Hope family. There we go. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, you're so modest. But yes, no, welcome everyone who is tuning in. This is the fourth and final edition of Our Voice, Our Vote, presented to you by Sanctuary of Hope. I am Sharik LeMay. I am a producer as well as a host, producer over at Paramount, as well as for my boutique company, LeMay Day Media. And I'm excited to be here and talk with these wonderful people. We had like a full-blown ladies' night the other week, right? And it was Christian was solo dolo. And now today I'm the only lady on the panel, but I'm gonna hold it down.
There we go.
I'm just really, really excited to have this conversation and get yet another perspective. We went through the gambit. We started off with Gen Z. We then went and spoke with some amazing women that were in the fields of politics. And then last week we had another roundtable of some women, one of which was more in the PR space. And then today we got potentially, hopefully, Andre Spicer also joins. We have some politicians, and I like having a wide range of diverse voices speak to what it is that we're trying to bring awareness to. So I'll throw it to our other co-host so he can introduce himself.
Kirk,
that's you.
Okay. Yeah. So, how's everybody doing? Kirk Samuels here. I'm the Director of Civic Engagement with Community Coalition. Been there for almost a decade, 7 years now. So I've been doing that. And I'm also the owner and founder of KS Operations. This is a civic engagement consulting firm. Pretty much we specialize in outreach for campaigns and consulting on different campaigns here, local and statewide. And then I believe the question was, what is civic engagement to me? Simply put, because I love breaking things down to like the molecular level. Civic engagement is just anything that has to do with the electoral process. Getting folks involved and helping them realize the power that they hold as voters is a passion of mine, because this is how you change the rules. And by changing the rules, you can create the outcomes in your favor. So it's a way that we work smarter, not harder. And this is something that we definitely want to hand off to the next generation. Gen Zs, millennials, in spite of what, statistics may say, that's the new rising electorate. These are the people that are going to take over, the helms once we're gone. So it's a passion of mine to be able to speak to the next generation and make sure that they realize just how much power they hold. And I will pass it to, I forgot your name, brother. My apologies, but the young brother.
Corey,
there we go.
Hey, thank you. Those are some great introductions. I'm Corey. As of now, I'm a student at Antelope Valley College in Lancaster, and I also serve as student trustee. I'm also the lead ambassador of our Civic and Voter Engagement Committee on campus, pushing the students to get involved and push up the voter registration drive on our campus. And civic engagement means to get out and to just touch as many people as you can. And whenever we get an opportunity to touch somebody, to just information and all. Point them in the right.
I think you're breaking up, Corey, on us. All right. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So in the meantime, while we're trying to get everything situated, I think Corey is breaking up or whatnot. We are going to add another person. We on a roll tonight. There we go. But in the meantime, Kirk, if you can explain what you're doing right now. We just did measures and propositions last week. You are working on a huge measure right now. If you could just talk about that a little bit right now, that'd be amazing. Okay.
Definitely, definitely, man. Thank you for that. So right now I'm working on Measure ULA. We're doing a lot of outreach. We just hosted a really dope day of action this past Saturday at Community Coalition, 81st in Vermont. We had about 70 people walking through South LA, knocking on doors, making sure folks knew to vote yes on Measure ULA. So what is Measure ULA? This is basically, it's called the mansions tax. So we know that housing prices and homelessness is an issue here in Los Angeles. We know that displacement is an issue here in Los Angeles. We know that for a lot of us, we work in the city of LA, but we can't afford to live here. We have to, drive 30 and 40 minutes away so we can find housing that's affordable to us. So basically what this measure would do would put a tax on the transfer of properties that are $5 million and above. So if you have a property, you're selling it in the city of Los Angeles and it's $5 million, that'll be a 4% tax. And if it's over $10 million, that's going to be a 5.5% tax. So the good thing about this is that it's a very small portion of the homes out here that are selling. I mean, when you think about it, how many folks do you know that have a $5 million house that they're putting up? Not too many people. But when that is being sold, if we pass this, we can have that tax. It's going to bring in about $900 million a year just for the city, $8 billion over the next decade, and this is going to go to affordable housing. Another thing, especially with the COVID pandemic, we found out that a lot of our seniors, that's like the rising demographic of folks that are at risk of homelessness. So we want to make sure that we're providing housing that they have accessibility to, and we want to make sure that they're being prioritized as well. So this is something that the community has been asking for, something that we can get behind. Another strong thing about Measure ULA is that this is going to be a permanent source for affordable housing funds here in the city of Los Angeles, and this is something that we don't have yet. We've had measures and bonds in the past that were passed, and they did great, but unfortunately, those weren't permanent, and a lot of those funds have already been committed to housing, so we need something that is going to be yearly, that we know that we can have a pot of revenue, so people that are at risk of homelessness can have that kind of renter protection and legal aid and assistance to making sure that, if we work in this city, we can also live in this city.
Yeah.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Dre.
Hey, what's going on, family? How y'all doing, man?
Brother Dre, what's going on?
We got some familiar faces on here, man. You didn't tell me I was coming home.
Right on.
Hey, it was good to see y'all, man. How y'all brothers doing, man?
It's
really good.
Doing good.
Sister, I was talking to you originally.
You got the Oakland A's. You repping for my city right now. Okay.
Hey, I know where I was coming to.
Let me
town business.
No, that's really awesome. I wanted to allow Andre to introduce himself, and then I definitely want to get back to the housing piece and the issue of people who are displaced in the city and in the area, and what actions and what may be on the ballot that we can be paying more attention to help render some remedies for that. Andre, can you go ahead and introduce everybody to everyone who you are and what it is that you do?
So my name is Andre Spicer, also known as Hub City Dre. I am the now councilman in the city of Compton, 2nd District, city of Compton, man. So yeah, thank y'all. Appreciate the platform too, man, and just even having these conversations. Man, I got a chance to be a part of a Black conversation right before I got elected. After the election, and when I was doing all my fighting and whatnot, and it was my first interaction. I appreciate it then. I appreciate it now. So, thank y'all again, man.
Yes, sir. Welcome. We appreciate you. Sanctuary of Hope appreciates you, our executive director, and you're doing so much great work out there in Compton that we're excited about. Where your future lies ahead of you, and we want to be a part of that. So that's why I was like, Sharik, please tell them. And she made it happen.
No, for sure, man.
Yes,
I appreciate y'all even wanting to talk to me though, man. And with the conversation that I understood it to be, and wherever y'all want to go, we go, man. I just was,
No, we're talking about civic engagement, and then Kirk was talking about UHLA, and did I say it correctly? In regards to the housing crisis that we're facing here currently in all of California, quite honestly, but disproportionately in the urban areas at this moment, and just discussing what that can do in terms of fixing some of the issues that we have currently in our cities. And then if you wanted to speak to that, or, you know, what civic engagement means to you in terms of some of the resources that you've been pulling together on your end over there in your city.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to go into, man. But just civic engagement. First, let me just say that was kind of how I got pulled into this thing, into this political arena, is from a community activist aspect. I was really trying to get my demographic to engage in their civic duty. And I'm going to speak for Compton statistically. You know, and I told you guys this before. There's 100,000 people in Compton, with about 45,000 registered, and the average age is 25, but the average voter is 65. Mm. So it was like a huge disconnect right there, and reason that is because we just don't engage in voting. You know, we don't believe in the system. We don't believe it works. It hasn't worked for us, and we completely just gave up on it. And that obviously doesn't work for us either, right? Like, you know, it's things are in place. That's going to happen regardless. So it's like, do you want to engage in this or not? Because you, speaking to the 25-year-olds, you're going to be here a lot longer than the 65-year-olds if you really want to just, you know, keep. I mean, in a perfect world, that's how that would play out.
We hope.
Yeah, you know, we would hope. So, my thing was just trying to get our demographic engaged in the process. So I had to start talking to cats about the things that directly affect them. I always known that's a work, man. When you make it personal, when you can talk about, like, how do I get people to engage in, like, the judge? You know what I'm saying? Voting for a judge. Well, that should be easy if you really break it down, right? I mean, because at some point with so many of us always having, statistically speaking, we're going to have an interaction with the police. Mm. You know? So at some point, for one reason or another, you're going to find yourself in front of a judge. And you should want to have a say as to what type of person you put in that position to have a say in your life. We just have that example with the LA City Council. You know, is that who you want making decisions? You know what I'm saying? Do your agendas align? And it's way bigger. To me, that's way bigger than just voting for a president. Yeah. Not to say that that's not, you know, big. That's not major. But I really want to talk. I want to deal with what's affecting me now. Mm-hmm. Like I need to know what's affecting me now. How can we address it right now? What can we do right now? Not to say that those things aren't important. Not to say that just all those presidential races and whatnot, governors and whatnot, all that's important. But who's running my city? Who's running my district? Who's controlling the narrative in my neighborhood right now is truly the most important to me. Yeah. And so having those conversations with people that look like me, and then getting out there, not changing up who I was, allowed, I think, you know, getting people more engaged. Because, you know, when you see people that look like you in those types of positions, you tend to draw interest.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. I think representation matters. That's what we usually say. But also, like you're saying, when you're able to talk to those voters and you're able to talk to young people, like you said, kind of like we've given up on it. And it's kind of like, how do you pull them back? How do you bring them back? And like, you're young, you vibrant, you got it going on, right? So it's like when people see younger folks or young adults, I feel like it's like a little bit more of a relationship that you can form, and that relationship will build forward. We always talk about presidential elections, governor elections, but what about the local elections? I just got hip to that like in the last 3-4 years about city council, school board, water board. And I mean,
water board?
Yeah.
And you get paid for being on water board.
Water board? Yeah, not that kind. Not getting water board.
And then you bring that up. It's so interesting you bring that up because Dre, I know that you have a business that pertains to water. Am I correct?
Yeah. I have a company called Waterworks. We sell water, freshwater, alkaline water, sea moss, organic juices, snacks, goodies, all these try to bring some healthy options to a food desert. So
yeah.
Yeah,
that's another big thing too that we don't really see spoken about on a larger platform, but at least it needs to be spoken about on a micro level in terms of the food deserts. Back when I was in college, I did a whole case study on the amount of liquor stores that I found in my neighborhood, you know, from my school going to my house. I counted about 30 liquor stores or so within like a 5 or 6 mile radius. And it's just, you know, no grocery stores, no fresh produce, nowhere where you can go and get fresh water even. And these are things that the president ain't gonna have nothing to do with. You know, the president has nothing to do with that. And even now we're seeing the headlines are saying that they're trying to block him from the student, you know, helping us with our student aid. So there's just so many reasons why on a local level we need to be paying more attention to these things rather than only complaining. It's good to complain and be a voice, but pick your people, know who your people are that are actually going to go out there and do the work. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I like to talk about like coming with solutions.
Yeah.
We need to be more solution based and be more proactive as opposed to reactive.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't have the same skill set or skill level or the capacity to even do, you know, different things. But voting is like the basic, you know what I mean? Like that everybody can engage in that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I would anticipate or I would expect us to do engage in that a little bit more, knowing that the effects that it has on us. But honestly, the generation that was before us, you know, I think that's when we really start to disconnect. I think it was in our music, it was in our TV, it was in a lot of different things, man. And we lost a generation or two, but just
that's true.
A conscious level, you know what I'm saying? From a conscious level that we got to get back to.
Yeah. I wanted to throw it back to Kirk because I know we were talking about Measure ULA. And I think when we were going over the measures last week, Christian, there were a couple of measures and propositions that I was a little on the fence with. Mm-hmm. I guess I can throw this at all of you, but specifically with ULA, if there are any cons, how do you kind of just individually, or would you suggest to somebody they outweigh the pros or the cons to help them make their decision? You know, like what kind of cons are like, okay, that's a deal breaker, I'm not going to vote for that. Or what do you look for in a particular measure to say, okay, well, the good is outweighing the bad. What type of bad is too bad for me to vote? You know, you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, how do you weigh those things? Because I think that kind of weighed on me when we were going through it last week. And I imagine it happens to a lot of people. Like, do I fight evil with evil, or how do I rectify that?
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. And a lot of times when it comes to voting locally, we kind of go in there with kind of like that negative aspect, like we got to pick the lesser of two evils, and we're so used to that. But that's usually when it comes to like candidates. When it comes to ballot measures, it's going to be like a different element. The beautiful thing about this ballot measure is that it was created by housing developers. It was created by labor unions. It was created by community groups. It was created by faith organizations. So these are the folks of the community that's actually writing this bill, submitting it to the state to make sure that this comes into law. You have 100,000 renters and homeowners that sign petitions that it can make it onto the ballot. So this is something that was created by us, for us. So I see a lot of positives in it. Now, what I will say is that the opposition, because we're going up against big money, these $1 billion, $1 million homeowners and corporations, that they have a lot more airtime, they have a lot more commercials than we do. So it's easier to smear the message and put up false narratives. But we know that's just politics. We have the people power, we have the word of mouth, and we have the relationship with the community. But they'll say things like, you know, this is going to affect all taxpayers, which is a complete lie. This is only going to affect people with a property $5 million or more. And even if you have a $5 million property, it won't affect you unless you're going to transfer that property to another owner. They'll say things like, if you pass this law, then we're going to raise the rent. But we know that rent isn't based on taxes and fees. Rent is based on supply and demand. So there's just a lot of things out there that they'll put out there to strike fear into the voter. So it just makes what we do that much stronger. But kind of like what Dre was alluding to, we've been doing this for, you know, going back to Fannie Lou Hamer. It was just going door to door, talking to folks and letting them know, like, hey, this is for us, this is against us. If you want to go down, look at who's opposing it and who's supporting it. That's a cheat code for everybody watching and listening. If you really want to get down to it, track the money, go to any ballot initiative, go to any candidate and look who's opposing them and who's supporting them, and that'll let you know everything you need to know.
How does it support their bottom line, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I think that's really important for our communities too, man, because the truth of the matter is, like, everybody's not going to do the research. Yeah, we know we talk about it, you know, you need to, and, you know, but with 40 hours a week, I'm working 40 hours a week, you know, I got a wife, I got a husband, I got, you know, kids, I'm going to school, you know, all these different things, and they need platforms like this that can break it down and to a level that we can all digest it, because again, some of that stuff I got to read over a few times, like, damn, let me make sure I'm getting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then once you start to break it down, though, and you can break it down into the language that they understand, you can, you know what I'm saying, we can galvanize that interest, or that they'll garner those votes. I think, like, faith-based, these grassroots organizations really have the power, because, like you said, Kirk, y'all going door to door, y'all face to face. You want to, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't always listen to. You missing me on the radio, like me personally, because I'm not listening to the radio, right? You know, we TiVo and everything. I mean, we got DVR now, so we're not even catching all the commercials. So our demographic, you low key are starting to lose us a little bit, because your marketing tactics are a little dated. So if I can get in front of thousands of people on a social media platform, if I can get a few million hits on TikTok that can get the message out, I'm actually reaching more people than maybe some airtime on KJLH. You know what I'm saying? Or at least I'm reaching the demographic that I wanted to talk to.
Yeah.
So it's all about how we looking at it, man. And that's I tip my hat to platforms like this, man, because it's important for the people that don't want to take the time to break it down.
Yeah.
But that want to still exercise their rights.
Absolutely. And some of those measures and propositions, what we were talking about last week, is like, it's worded very weirdly to where you have to, like, reread them and really research, and people ain't got time to do all that, you know. And so this is kind of like what this whole series is about, you know, bringing experts such as Kirk, Kristen from last week, and being able to come in here and really, like, make it easily digestible for all of us to really just understand it. You know, this is a huge kind of like real estate transfer tax in a way, so we can, you know, I ain't gonna say steal from the rich, but just really just like, it is equating to repurposing funding in a way. And so, you know, and this is what it's essentially about. You're going out there, whether you're hitting 1 million people on TikTok or whether you're talking to 10 people on the street, it's equatable to what is needed for the people. And so, Kirk, I applaud you. I appreciate you for the work that you're doing, because, I mean, this is what Sanctuary of Hope is all about, is really addressing homelessness, houselessness, at promise youth, or false youth, or Tay youth, and trying to get us, basically everybody, off the streets. And this is like a huge crisis, a humanitarian issue or crisis issue in Los Angeles, in the Antelope Valley, in Compton, all over, you know, SoCal in a way. And so, yeah, Kirk, you're doing a good work with that.
I appreciate you.
I wanted to ask and kind of reset for those that are just joining in. We're talking about Measure ULA, which Kirk is very heavily involved in. If you want to just kind of reiterate what it is again, and then also I had a question. We're talking about repurposing the money. So where is the money going exactly? Because that's what people want to know. Like, what exactly are you guys doing with these funds, and how is it going to benefit my community? So if you can kind of touch on that for me, that'll be great.
Definitely. So real quick, in one sentence, Measure ULA, we call that the mansions tax, right? This is going to be a transfer tax on mansion estates here in the city of Los Angeles, not for the county, just for the city of Los Angeles. So if you have a mansion that's valued at $5 million, you will be taxed one time at the point of transfer, 4%. If it's over $10 million, you will be taxed one time at the point of transfer, 5.5%. A little thing about this is that we've seen similar measures work in cities like San Francisco and Culver City, where they've had some very similar passed in their cities, and we saw that, so we're gravitated towards it. The beautiful thing about this is that this is going to go to a building affordable housing. So let me kind of paint the landscape a little bit. So from the years of 2014 to 2021, Los Angeles needed to build about 82,000 new units to address the growing population. There's a lot of folks coming in the city. So you end up building about 105,000 units, and out of those 105,000 units, 92 were for moderate to above moderate incomes. So that means that out of 100,000, there's only about 11,000 left for people that were extreme low income, moderate income, basically the 99%. All right. So out of 100,000 new units, we only got 10, and this is over a span of 7 years. So what Measure ULA does is it puts a tax on these mansions, and we're going to use that to build affordable housing. Now, 70% of the tax will go to building affordable housing, and then 30% will go to homeless assistance. It will go to things like, eviction protection, legal aid, assistance, those kind of things for people that are at risk of losing homelessness. So it's a robust, it's well thought out, and it's tackling the issue from different vantage points. Another thing I want to reiterate is that this is going to be a new source and a permanent source for revenue, so we can have affordable housing. We can't afford to live in the city. Bottom line, the median household is pretty much double the national average. So what it costs to buy a house in LA is double what you would pay anywhere else in the country. Mm-hmm. And people just can't live. We can work in the city, but we can't live in the city. So by doing this is just one fix, but we still need a lot more. But I feel like this is a huge step in the right direction.
Yo, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope, bro. Yo, I tip so who can vote on this?
If you live in the city of Los Angeles, so this is a city measure. So if you live in, the city, if you live in King of States, Hyde Park, Westmount, West Athens, Green Meadows, if you live in the city of Los Angeles, November 8th, don't wait till November 8th. Actually, you should have your ballot already by now. Get your book, run through the book, vote on it, vote yes on Measure ULA, and let's get this done.
Dope. That's amazing.
Yes.
We don't want to hold you gentlemen up too much longer, but before we go, Dre, I know for the city of Compton, when we spoke on live last week on my live, for those of you who don't know, I have a docu-series coming out called Stop Selling Grandma's House, which is it's about generational wealth and building and community and ending systemic modern day colonialism, because we need to gentrify our own hood, like Jay-Z said. But Dre, I want you to speak to some of what you're trying to work towards within the city of Compton in terms of utilizing resources and gaining resources and solutions for housing for foster youth, which I know Sanctuary of Hope dives directly into.
Yeah, well, okay, so my platform was economic development, housing, culture, and that was my platform.
Yeah.
And housing was one of the things that I wanted to address as it relates to homelessness. But first I had to identify the different demographics of homelessness. And so you have the mental health aspect, you have the drug abusers, you have reentry, you have the people that were, that have been abused, victims of domestic violence, and and then my favorite was I want to cater towards the most would be foster youth, and it was the kids that were, turned out of foster care, that a lot of times would not be equipped to get out in the world. And, a lot of times our kids aren't equipped to come out into the world, at our own house, our own flesh and blood, and in some cases, in a lot of cases, these foster youths, they really don't have that guidance. So then when you put them out there at 18 years old, come on, we know, we we do math. We know how it goes. So what you want to do is if I'm looking at ways to increase our public safety that has nothing to do with policing people.
Mm.
For me, this was one of those efforts. So if I can focus on foster youth and getting them off the street, then I can reduce crime. It's just, again, simple math. So right now I'm trying to, I have a couple ideas, couple plans that I want to implement that targets our foster youth demographic. And that is the reason why. So some of the things that I was talking to Sharik about was, I don't know how much time we got on this, man. Because when I start talking about it, I get passionate. I want to go. So it's just something. Go back and listen to it. Go back and check out.
We're going to have to bring you back for a part 2 for that one. That's fine. Yeah.
No,
Give us a synopsis.
Man, so the reason why I think one of the reasons why we have homelessness, I'll say this in Compton, why we have homelessness is one reason is because we can't make it illegal to live on the street. Mm. And the reason why we can't make it illegal to live on the street is because you don't have shelters. So if you can't offer them a bed, you definitely can't offer them a cell. Mm. I either got to offer you both, or I can't offer, I got to leave you alone. And that's how it is here in the city. The thing with us is that we all want a shelter, but don't nobody want it in their backyard. Mm. Again, we can have it, just don't put it next to me. I don't want that over here by me. So I was thinking, well, how do I open it up for people to want to be able to bring it to their neighborhoods? And you make it an investment opportunity. And if I can invest in this particular project, which means my property value will go up, we can get people off the street, and I can actually financially benefit from this, then I can get you more inclined to say, hey, man, bring that shelter over this way. You said, I get first dibs at making an investment? Yeah, bet that. And so then I just start to develop ideas around that thought. And that's what I was talking to Sharik about on her podcast. Just one of those ways. And I think that, it'd be great for not just our community, but several communities to just start to implement. Because I don't want to hold all these ideas to myself. I want the world to have this. I want us to have this. Because I want to talk about it on our platform. So I want us to have this. I want us to implement these ideas. Because, like Kirk hinted towards, we can't afford to live here anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, we just can't. So how do we change that? How do we make more money? And it's being able to invest in your land, invest in yourself, invest in your own communities, and allow that residual income to come in and play a factor. So, that's the synopsis of it.
That's good. No, thank you. Thank you guys.
I love that.
Thank you for what you're doing for the communities, because it is an issue. I live over here in Hollywood. It's over here too. It's crazy. This is definitely something that needs to be addressed. Make sure you are following both of these gentlemen on both of their respective platforms. They don't seem like they're people that don't answer the phone when you call. So make sure if you have ideas, reach out. You can either reach out to myself or Christian as well if you want to get in contact. And we just want to thank you both for coming on and sharing, your time with us, because this is very informative and wonderful.
Absolutely. Again,
thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Dre.
Chris.
We're going to do part 2.
We'll speak out next time.
Whenever you're ready, my brother.
All right.
All right.
Peace. All right, man. All love.
All right, y'all. Yes on ULA.
Yes.
Sharik, you all right with me? Let's go. There we go. We're going to get another, we're going to have a couple more folks join us.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really beautiful.
I love, the thing is there's so much synergy, because we're all experiencing, we're experiencing a human experience, and no human should be displaced. Absolutely. No human should not have the essentials, which is food, shelter, and just a place to be and be free. So I really love that both of these gentlemen in 2 different areas are on the same thing. Hey,
how's it going?
Hi.
Good to see y'all. My voice a little gone. Y'all forgive me.
You all right?
We here, but we here.
Turning up, huh?
Yeah.
Turning up for the vote.
Singing for the vote. Come on, somebody.
I love that.
For those that do not know, this is Darion Doris. He was on our part 1 series I thought it would be great for him to come for our part 4 and end it out. You know, let us know about the work he's doing to get other young folks activated. But also, we're going back to the whole synopsis of this Our Vote, Our Voice series of why does our vote matter? And, you know, like how can or why should young folks, Gen Zers specifically, get involved? And again, thank you all for joining us tonight. Go ahead, Darian. You take us off, introduce yourself, and just go into that question.
What's up, everyone? My name is Darian. Like just said, Darian Doors. Last time, business law major. Go to Cal State University of Northridge, and yeah, I guess I would say that's a really interesting question. Some would call it a loaded question because there's a lot of different answers. There's a lot of different reasons why people don't, you know, vote, or why specifically African-American communities don't vote, or you know what I mean? Different things like that. But I would say some reasons why we should vote. We talked about a little bit in, what was I in, part 1? I was in the part 1 series. Yeah. We talked about a little bit there, and I feel like one thing that sticks out for me is that when you vote, what you do is you contribute. So you contribute in a way, in a sense of, number one, your name is on that ballot. So what happens is you no longer bear, I guess, no one can point the finger at you for if issues happen in office because you did your part. Now, I would say that would be one of the reasons why I would, that's one of the reasons I would give someone who say my vote doesn't count. Mm-hmm. So like if they say, well, if I vote, it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't tip the scale. Well, I feel like there's a moral side to voting as well as there is a logistical side and a number side to it and a practical side. You want to be able to say that you did your part, right? So you want to be able to say that I believed in this person. This is who I saw. This is the candidate that I pushed for. And through that, I voted for that person, and that's who I stood on. So even if things don't go the way you planned it, you can still say that, you know, you did what you did your part and you stood your ground and you believed in what you know what I mean? What you said you believed in. So that's one thing. Another reason I would give is that your vote can be the turning point. Like we gotta, like, just as much as people say our vote can't, like, may not be like a big deal, it could also be a very big deal because you got to understand you have influence in your circle. So when you go and vote, that may get your friend to go and vote, or that may get, you know, the people around you to vote, or some of your family members to vote, which then it can create a domino effect where the people they know will vote, and then the people they know will vote. And even if it's not everyone, you know what I mean? But if it's just like, if you got a group of friends and it's 4 of y'all, and say one of them says, okay, I'm gonna vote too, and then they get 2 of their people to do it, then it becomes a trickle effect. You know what I mean? So those are 2 points that I would say. As far as me personally, what am I doing to make people vote? I'm not gonna say I'm out here holding a banner on the corner of the street, you know what I mean, shouting vote. That's but if the conversation ever does come up, and it does a lot because you know this, especially being on a college campus, there's a bunch of people always trying to make you sign petitions. And they're always trying to say, hey, sign this petition for this. And, you know, some of them, they just doing it to get some money. And that's your hustle. Absolutely. But I will say what it does do that may be good is they always come up, and the first thing they ask you, I don't know if you guys remember, but the first thing they ask you is what? Are you registered? Are you a registered voter? So when you say no, if you say like, oh, no, I'm not a registered voter, they'll be like, well, we can register you now. And even though they have like their own agenda, it still kind of helps the bigger picture because it's like, you know what I mean? If they're getting people, and they will hound you. You're like, man, I got to go take this exam, or I got to go to class. They'll be like, okay, when you come back this way, you coming back this way, right? Oh, okay, goodness, dude. Now you trying to find escape routes behind the school. You looking at the map. But I'm saying basically anytime I'm with my friends or something, that happens, and say if I'm with a group of friends they come like, hey man, you guys, you know what I mean? Like, hey, do you want to sign this petition? Are you registered to vote? If I hear one of my friends say, I'm losing my breath. If I hear one of my friends say, like, oh no, I'm not registered to vote, then I'll be like, as we walk in, after we said no 30 times, I'll be like, hey man, what, like, you know what I mean? Like, why you not registered to vote? Like, you know, and then we could talk about it. Then the dialogue begins, you know, and even if I don't have all the answers, I remember Unc hit me for part 1. And he was like, hey, man, I want you to get on and kind of share your view on, you know, the voting and whatnot. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. So I don't really know a lot of what's going on right now. And he said, that's perfect. You know what I mean? We want your take. And it's not like skewed by whatever you've been reading and stuff. And I would say that in dialogue, when you're around people, you know, that your peers, that dialogue will help start and strike some things up. You know what I mean? So that's my little spiel, my little.
I think you brought up a good point. Yeah, I think you brought up a good point too. Specifically, the one that stood out to me is there's a lot of like, what do they call it? Imposter syndrome with people there, where you can be having a conversation and like you said, I really don't know, you know, but your uncle was accepting of that. He said, that's good. Let's still have these conversations. Because I think, you know, there's like this intellectualism that's kind of placed on voting and politics that I think scares people away from wanting to be involved because they feel like, oh, I don't know enough. But when in actuality, it's more about what affects you at home, what affects your day-to-day life. That's all you have to be is conscious enough to realize what affects you on your day-to-day life.
Right.
You wake up in the morning and go to bed at night and do it all over again. That's all you need to know. And how are these measures? How are these people you are voting for? How are they going to play a part in that? And that's why we say, yes, absolutely. That's why we do say start local. So that's really all you have to know. There doesn't need to be an imposter syndrome with that because you're alive and you're a human being, having a human experience. And we all share this experience. So I think a part of it is the work of us who are aware. We do have to kind of meet people at their level and let them know. And that's why we're having this conversation. Like, hey, voting doesn't have to be this super difficult
complicated
project. You
concept.
know, what matters to you? What matters to me right now is housing. What matters to me right now is my rent is too damn high. So this is okay. Well, all right, sis. Well, then this measure ULA. Let's talk about that. You know, so I think and then, you know, what you see on, maybe people can do a better job when canvassing. Maybe they can say, hey, rather than are you registered to vote, what matters to you right now?
That's deep.
What's affecting you in your life right now? What affects you from the time you wake up? How are you doing? You know, and what can be circumvented to help you with your day-to-day life as you move about through the world. And I think that's where I think sometimes maybe we may be missing the mark. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, and if I could just tag team on that, I think you hit something about making a contribution. And then Sharik, you just talked about the level of humanity. You know, us making a contribution to this level of humanity, understanding our why of what we're doing. My issues come from my lived experiences of being a foster youth, coming from a Black and brown perspective, coming from someone that was homeless for a little bit. You know, all of us have our own different reasons of why we're getting engaged. Everyone that's joining us, you know, this is the point of this whole series, is really just educating folks of why it's so important to join the electoral process, to get civically engaged, to understand why their vote matters. Like Councilmember Dre said, like, people have given up on systems because systems have failed us. You know, the DCFS, the prison system, family. I can just list a whole lot.
Some school systems.
Schools too, right? And this is people's perspectives. So when we bring it back to this level of humanity again, it comes back into local politics, state politics, federal politics, and why it's so important. I can give you my suggestions, but it's up to you to figure out, okay, well, you know what, Chris, I don't really agree with that. So let me go this route, right? And so this is why I was so adamant about you joining this, because, you know, first of all, I've seen you come a long way, Darian, so I appreciate it. But also, like, you're growing into this young adult, you know, college graduate. He's at CSUN about to graduate, you know, and so you have a level of influence that I don't have no more. you're able to bring in another generation. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so this is where the what is it like?
Passing.
Creating different, passing the baton. Yeah, I was gonna say creating cycles, but I don't really like cycles. So let's do passing the batons, right? And so again, those that are joining us, understanding what is your why to voting. I want to say someone put in the chat about like, what is your call to vote? What is the call to vote? For me, it's definitely about representation and understanding our right to vote, understanding the history of voting. And my call to vote is really just like, you know, adding my lived experience into this and understanding the historical concept or aspect of why voting is so important. I've been registered to vote since I was 18, voting every election, this and that. Now, like the last 3 to 5 years are like, okay, now I got to read the propositions a little bit more. I got to read the measures a little bit more, you know, and that's why like Sharik, we were so adamant about doing the propositions and measures because that stuff is confusing and it's long, you know, it's like, it's a lot of words. I don't want to read all that sometimes. I don't want to read all that.
A whole lot of words.
College level words.
You know, and I'm a professor, and sometimes I just don't want to read all that. So it's like, okay, break it down for me.
Make it plain. Make it plain.
Exactly. And so, you know, I appreciate you taking your time out, you know, and understanding where we're at right now with our vote and our voice. Sharik, did you have something, another question? Or Darian, you have something to add?
I mean, I was just going to, because, dang, I had a question I wanted to ask you two beautiful people, but I lost it.
It's okay.
It'll come back to me. It's
okay.
It's all right.
It's all right. Last day to register. So if you have not registered to vote, please register to vote. I want to dare everyone that sees this video before midnight, send a text, an email to about 3 to 5 people and let them know they need to register to vote.
Yeah.
3 to 5, maybe 10 people if you're really about that life. Send it to people. There we go.
I remember now. Okay. I guess, because I've heard this before, and I wanted to see what you guys' take on it was, where people say, like, they'll say, like, even if you don't know who to vote for, just put anybody's name down. Just vote. Where do you guys stand with that kind of comment? Would you agree that you should just use your freedom to vote? Or if you don't know, should you hold it? Or what? How would you go about that?
I've been very guilty in the past of just leaving things blank. Or we spoke about it before, the down ballot just going down, whatever was, you know, affiliated with your particular party. If that's the case. Myself, at this point in my life, I consider myself predominantly independent, even though I lean more towards Democratic. So what I really want to say is I think that they should let people have the day off when we vote so that if we didn't get the time before that, we can use that time and we can educate ourselves on the day of and not have to worry about getting back to work and doing other things. I think there needs to be a system to where people can really focus the day of voting, because when we're rushed, when we feel like we don't have a lot of time, that line is down the street, literally, if you are doing it in person. And then I think that there's issues with that. There is definitely issues with that. And I'm guilty. I'm not a perfect person. So I think even just doing this series has helped me just realize where I need to, you know, pick up in some areas in terms of educating myself. But if for me personally, sometimes I would just leave it blank. I don't want to just vote for something that I don't have knowledge about. I don't pray to whoever. I don't know who I'm praying to, so I ain't gonna vote.
Come on.
I don't know who I'm going to.
Come on.
That's how I feel. I'd rather just leave it blank. What about you, Christian?
I do like the fact that you said about like a national voter holiday. I think that should be implemented. It's something new and creative and innovative. So I hope some official down the line makes this happen, because that should be a national holiday. Second thing is, for me, I'm not going to lie. I have done it before. I have, I am a diehard Democrat, and I don't care what nobody say.
Come on.
However, you know, I've gotten voter guides. I've gotten different ways of voting, depending on, because, you know, I may not be able to research everything or look into everything or dive into it. And so for me, if I see an organization that I'm aligned with, then most likely I will, base some of my responses according to that. And that's just my personal own, my own way of thinking. Sometimes I'm not encouraging anybody else, but there are voter guides to help you during this process, because sometimes you're not able to do that. And so is it okay? Yes. And, you know, it's dependent upon you. So for me, I'm like, hey, you know, if I already know that you are just adamant against what I'm talking about, you know, it's just, I'm just not going to vote for that. So it is what it is. So, yes.
I have a question for you, Christian, since you're the diehard Democrat.
Come on,
right?
Questions?
Shout out to Blade, right?
Come on.
So Blade.
Yeah,
Blade.
I can't forget
Come
the
on.
Y.
Get it right.
The young part. The
Get it
young
right, get it
can't
tight.
forget the Y.
Okay.
How do you hold your party accountable? If there are ways that you disagree with them and you feel as though certain things need to change within the party, and I know there's been a lot of people who are frustrated with the Democrats right now. You know, quite honestly, they feel as though Democrats are maybe playing it a little too safe. You know, they want them to go harder or vice versa. How do you feel it's best? Because like I said, I lean more towards Democrat. Where I am in my life right now, I can't necessarily say I affiliate 1,000% as a Democrat. It's what's on my ballot when I get it. But how do we hold them accountable if we disagree? You know, because it's really right now, I feel like politics is a game of Crips and Bloods. To be completely honest, it feels like that sometimes, and it feels like you're just either on this side or you're on that side. What are some ways you feel as though we can really put our voice out there? Maybe we're talking about voting, but even before we get to the ballot, what are some ways that we can hold these parties accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things is, one is that, you know, this is a nonpartisan education series, so we're not leaning Democrat or Republican. So I just want everybody to know that in this series. Secondly, I am going to say for, you know, in anything that you do, you know, this is why I'm such a strong, agitator in a way. This is what my brothers call me, is because, like, I don't hold my tongue back for certain things, right? So if you have certain morals or values that you align with, then it's okay for you to speak up against it. That's where you get involved with, like, in the Democratic Party, I'm on the resolutions committee. I'm a part of Blade. I'm a part of Stonewall. I'm a part of these different organizations, you know, and it's depending upon how active you want to be. You know, I may have a little bit more time than Darion does because he's fulfilling his educational aspects. And so it's really about getting involved, not aligning, but more so getting into these different rooms and connecting and talking to people, conversing with people. Some people like, well, why did you vote this way? This is my vote. These are my reasons. This is what I believe. And some people, they will agree to disagree, or you'll be able to persuade them. And so, you know, the Democrats, just as much as the Republicans, such as much as the independents, everyone has room for growth. And this is my philosophy with life in general. There's room for improvement in everything that we do. And so it's about really, really challenging the system and to improve the system. So if it has not been done, why not try it? You know, this is just like with the voter holiday. If it doesn't work, okay, well, let's try something new. All right, if that doesn't work, let's try something else. You know, it's all about trying to figure out what works for the masses, what works for the people, the working people, those that are impoverished. How do we pull somebody out of a poor background, a foster youth background, a single parent background, formerly incarcerated, and get them to where they want to be in life? And that's just what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's dope.
Yeah, because I got some ideas.
Okay, well, let's roll with it. You can go with me to these meetings. I need your help. And that's what it's all about, you know.
And I think that's important for people to know, too, is I think we get so caught up in just the politicians. And I don't think people realize that for every politician, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that are working with them. There are people such as yourself. There are people that are canvassing. There are people that are part of they're in their office, that are really doing the work and having the conversation. So if you don't have the time, like me, I'll be honest, I'm busy. I'm super busy. But I know you, and I'm talking to you, and I'm rubbing shoulders with these people and wanting to know, you know, what's happening on the ground level. And I think that's key. That's important. And right now we have so much accessibility. Everything you need information wise is at a click of a thumb. So there's opportunity. for you to connect with certain people, even if you don't have the time to really go all in, like what Christian is doing and with Blade. Then you can connect with that person and say, hey, yo, this is what I'm concerned about. Can you relay the message? Because this is important to me. So I think that's a key takeaway too, because again, there's that intimidation factor within politics that I think people tend to stray away from, because it's a lot. It really is a lot.
Yeah. It comes with a lot of big words and a lot of jargon, a lot of different vocabulary where it can confuse just the normal person. Just how I just said that statement, right? I can just totally reword it, but like, you know, it's how you change your language or how you mix, you know, how you display it to folks. You know, it's just meeting the person where they're at. And this is where I think hopefully politics get involved, or even just civic engagement gets it. This is the purpose. Like, we want to break it down and make it easier for people to understand, to where you don't have to Google a word or vocabulary, you know? And so,
Gigi asked a good question. Hi, Gigi.
What's up, Gigi?
She said, how do you all suggest we learn about the candidates? Is there a candidate website? I like that question. There are voter guides that, you know, have their little synopsis when you read about it. How do I learn about candidates? I learn all kinds of ways. I just, me personally, I like to go watch things. I like to go watch the opposition too. Because sometimes I can kind of learn things based upon what people are saying in the opposition of that person. And then I can kind of cross-reference from my own brain. I try to look at things from an empathetic standpoint in terms of, why is this person saying this? Why is this person saying that? That's just me personally, but definitely in the voter guides. And then definitely on their platforms. They're all on social media and they're on different websites, and there's different resources such as Blade. You guys are definitely super behind our next mayor. Our next mayor.
I can't say nothing.
Okay.
Not on this platform. See me on my own platform.
Okay. Okay. But there's definitely a lot of resources. So thanks for asking that question, Gigi, because I think that's important.
Usually a website, absolutely. I think usually a website comes with like them running for candidacy. So when they are, you just Google it, you know, you just Google their website, look at it. What are their platforms? And, you know, hey, there you go. And so, and then also they're at candidate forums, town halls. Thank you, Quisha.
Yes.
And they're able to go to these different, you know, wherever they're visible, go see them. And then they're here to talk to you, you know. And so let's end off on this good note. This has been a beautiful Part 4 series. I cannot say thank you enough to everyone that has joined us. I cannot say thank you enough to Sharik.
Thank you.
You are amazing.
It's fun. You are amazing.
As always.
Your nephew, so, he started it off and he ended it with us. I appreciate that.
Ain't that funny, huh?
It is.
So my God, I got him anytime.
If we can end off with the question of what does the future of voting looks like for you, that'll be amazing. And then let folks know where to join you, and then we'll go from there. Or we can end off on that note.
Okay, I guess I'll take this one. You said, what does voting in the future, like, what does future voting look like for me?
Yes.
Okay, so like, you mean generally from my lens, or do you mean like me personally?
I would say let's do generally from your lens, since you don't use big words.
Okay, so basically, I would say for me, I'm looking at the way the world is. I think that voting, I feel like it's going to take a turn for the better, and I'm going to always be optimistic. But even beyond optimism or positivity, it's just a simple fact of the more you know, the more you do. And you know how they say, like, knowledge is power, and how a lot of the, of African-American oppression, even especially in the slave days and in the days when we were set free, but still were bondage by the lack of knowledge. A lot of that kept us from doing what we knew. But when we finally figured out, hey, they're not treating us the way we should be treated, or like they, you know, this amendment says this, but this is not being reflected in the way my everyday life is, or and things like that. When we start learning, that's how change happens. So now we have this whole thing of like social media and influence from not only being able to get, like, you know, there used to be a time where you read the news in the newspaper and you read the news on TV. I mean, watched the news on TV. Now, this is before my time. But, you know, that was the only feedback you got. And I'm only saying, and this was before, I'm talking before your time too. I'm talking about Mother Doris. So basically my point is, man, like, we're in a time now where we can get unbiased information. We can get as much information as we want. Now it's our job to make sure it's unbiased and make sure it's true. But, you know, so what I think with that, it will grow the amount of voters, because they'll know more and they'll want to see change and they'll want to see effect in places, you know, that, you know, they can affect. So that's my future. I think it'll grow.
Love it.
It's lit.
Love it.
I guess for me, I would say I'm excited. Honestly, I'm excited, and just going through this process with you, and then even with YUP, with our platform, the Young Urban Professionals. Shout out to Gigi. We've been really engaging and realizing that it affects us, you know. And like I said, what's important to me is what affects me and my family, from the time I wake up
right.
when I go to bed. And if I know that I can do something to make a difference in that alone, then that's what's going to drive me towards that, and helping other people to see the same. Because I know there's still a lot of people that are very skeptical about politics in general. Aside from the imposter syndrome, they're like, this ain't for me, sis. I don't. But let's get it to a point where people can feel like it is that way. And let's work towards that. If we have a goal, then we can come together and make it happen. So I'm excited for the future. Being that we have technology and more accessibility, it's a lot easier to do. Me personally, I like going in and voting. I'm
Me too.
I agree.
Like
I
that.
agree.
The
I want to get up.
I just like doing it. And, you know, shout out to my grandparents who, until they couldn't no more, worked the polls every single year, every single election. So, you know, for me, I'm doing it for them as well. I'm carrying on that legacy. And so I think if we remember us, especially as Black and brown people, what our ancestors did for us to be able to to vote, I think that's monumental. And think about that as well. And think about the next generation and the next generation. It may not be perfect right now, but I'm not doing anything by just sitting around and complaining about it. So I'm excited. And yes, thank you for having me on and making me more excited about voting. Voting is lit. It's fun.
There we go. There we go. I think when we have these conversations, I like how you use the word legacy, and creating these conversations of legacies. Everyone that's joining us and watching this, understanding that your voting is going to leave a legacy for those that come behind us. Your contribution to voting is going to leave a legacy to those that are behind us. And so my look of the future is similar to both of yours, of an optimistic view as well as an excitement view of understanding that we have so much power in our voting. And I cannot say thank you enough to you. Say thank you enough to our executive director, Johnny Kelly, for giving us this space.
Yes.
And to all of the people that are part of Sanctuary of Hope, to all those that are joining. Let's continue to build, get out into our communities, and really just become actively involved. I know people are discouraged by politics, but it's really about transfer of power and understanding the power dynamics that exist out there. You know, you may know somebody that live on on an EBT card. I mean, I had an EBT card in once time in my life, but I also, you know, got my degree now. So now it's like figuring out how do we empower the next generation. So Sharik, you're right on point about legacies, and voting is lit. Get out there and vote. Today's your last day to register. Love you all. Great series.
One last thing before we
End it
leave.
off.
They work for us.
Come on.
Politicians and the people in office, they are our employees. We hire them. They work for us. So that's power right there in itself. So go be a boss and go.
Ooh, I like
That's the next series.
Look, I like the way you look at it.
They work for us. So let's do it. Thank you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you all.